you think it's just going to be like we'll just have to wait to see how this kind of pans out? Like this is pretty much like there's going to be
There's really no reason to wait and see. If people have an opportunity to take advantage of something, they will.
right
And that's why
because
there needs to be some sort of limit in place.
One. What up, bitches and gentlemen? I'm sorry. That was. Oh god. Anyways, welcome to another night of the Hot or Trash podcast. I probably will not edit that part out. Oops. But yes. Oh man. World Cup series is going around too. We're going to see a lot of crazy shit happening over here in Tejas, as the Japanese team will be playing tomorrow as well. Holy shit. So, anyways, though, let's get into today's topic as well. How are you doing today, Victor?
Well, that's not today's topic. What's today's topic?
Well, today's topic is like the AI data center stuff. Yes, I was getting into that. But I wanted to at
bro.
least.
You should ask me how I'm doing first before you say today's topic, and then
That's what I just did. I not just do that?
No, you said today's topic, and then you said, "How are you today?"
Oh, well, I was going to lead into that, but anyway, sorry about that. But yes, how are you today, Victor?
I'm good.
Oh,
I'm straight chilling.
yeah. You got some big announcements too, such as you're going to be away for the next few weeks again.
Yes, sir. I'll be back.
Man. Well, for anyone that doesn't really know about this too, he has big life movements too, and he's finally picking up his wife.
Yeah, it's
How
quite
beautiful
fun.
is that? All right, so I should say how romantic is that? But
Beautiful and romantic indeed.
but I hope that she does well too. I hope you guys are able to get back home safely as well. Meanwhile, for me, I'm gonna have to try to figure out how the hell to pad out the next few weeks without you. Actually, I've already done that anyways. I have loads of things I could do, but hopefully, then too, we all wish you the safe journey back. Now, back onto the main shit here. This is again, we feel like a broken record whenever we talk about this shit about AI, but it's really comes about it too because holy fuck, so a lot of things that we've already claimed about it so far are kind of coming to being true, for better or for worse. In this case, what do I mean by that? Based on what I've seen so far and what you've already heard so far, Victor, do you think right now all the craze for like building these new AI data centers too are just currently just stopping to a halt?
Well, I'm sure they're still building it. It's definitely not like AI is going away.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's stopping. Maybe slowing down, yeah, but I don't think it's stopping.
But in this case, like we're wording it as like it's mostly the only reason that it is only slowing down too because the current build projects too, and at the moment, a lot of these data centers are actually becoming more and more of an issue to people that live around these areas, or in this case, the area that the data centers are built up in. For
Well,
example,
the biggest issue is that the majority of data centers are built in small towns.
yeah.
So they're
Which-
taking all the resources of the small town
Yeah.
and then only providing like jobs for like 30 people.
Yeah. And what makes this a little bit terrible about it too is that like these smaller towns too, they don't technically even have the infrastructure to even support a data center to begin with too. And this is also causing, from at least tinfoil hot take here too, they know, the utility companies know that these small towns don't exactly have like the necessary like power capacity to power these data centers, so they're prematurely upping up everybody's like rates too, just so that they could get enough cash flow, so then they can start working on building more to the first place, which is like come on now.
Yep.
And because like you cause issues like that too, and then it comes down to like, oh, we're also going to be having a bunch of these people trying to foot the bill for a lot of these costs too. And because we need power immediately as soon as it comes online, all right, we'll just like import in like a bunch of natural gas generators that are adding on to like the pollution that the data centers are already producing to the surrounding area. So I mentioned pollution, so I'm gonna go a little bit deeper into that as well. So surprisingly enough too, because of like how fast and how much we demand these data centers too, they can't turn online fast enough because the power grids that they're sitting on is just not ready for them. So them importing all of these natural gas or different generators too to just get them online and going too. it's feeding into all the surrounding areas of carbon emissions, not nitrogen poisoning, but causing a lot of bad issues around the town as well. Because at any point too, like, why are we greenlighting so many of these projects too if it's like no one is actually talking about like trying to set up the infrastructure to begin with? Because it really does feel like some steps are definitely being skipped here, and we're just building a fuck ton of shit for nothing effectively.
Kind of.
It's like I understand the necessity for having these types of things, especially when we ourselves are trying to become like an AI powered like centered for like the whole world, right? I get that, but it also comes to a point too when you have to look at these things too. Like, we have to treat this as if it's like other infrastructure jobs in the first place. It's not like a typical like cloud data center where people can like upload whatever storage or whatever porn they want to on the cloud, the Google Drives.
It could be. I mean, like it's just a data center.
Mm-hmm. Only difference is that right now it requires more power because there's more GPU computation power involved now. And speaking of all this stuff with GPU chips supplies too, god damn it, I'm still hoping for the fact that prices are slowing down. But here we are still, as new NVIDIA announcements too, that they're going to be pushing for more AI stuff. Kicks rocks.
I mean, yeah, that's where
Yeah.
the money's coming from. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't blame them. Like, truly, like, coming from like me saying that I understand where it's coming from. It just sucks as a consumer that you see this type of shit and you're just like, well, I guess I'll just sit back and watch and see what's going on.
It sucks as a gamer.
Yeah, it sucks as a gamer because
I mean,
everything else.
honestly, I don't know. Like, I think maybe the focus is more in AI, but they're still making GPUs. So
yeah, like they still will make them too, and it's not like Nvidia themselves too. Like, they're positioned in a way to, even if the AI stuff doesn't like work out too, they can still sell products, and it's quite frankly they have like still the capability of selling back to the original consumer marketplace. However, a lot of trust has kind of been broken based on like a lot of boneheaded decisions for whatever Jensen wants to do, but that's not up to me. He is making the decisions that the company wants to do this. So I can't necessarily get too upset about it, but I am a little bit sad that like the fucking 3060 or other cards are just stupidly expensive, because we also have an issue with scalpers as well added on to this. So we got that happening. And some of the things that I like to at least kind of see this do, because financially speaking, we look at these investments, the AI data centers. Let's get this out of the way. Do you think it's a good investment overall of building out these data centers?
Well, they definitely need to build it in areas where that can actually support it, not in a bunch of like middle of nowhere towns.
Yeah, such as that, like the general like load capacity of any utility is just not able to handle that.
Yeah.
But would you agree, without like considering those factors too, that if it was properly built and planned out too, would these be still a good investment?
Yeah, I wouldn't see why not.
Yeah.
Because if not AI, there's still cloud.
Mm-hmm. And we're already pushing ourselves to be more cloud computing. To despite how people may feel about this too, if you don't want to do cloud computing, that's perfectly fine too. You could still have other options like what we do of like having our own self.
Look, the issue with cloud is not consumer level. It's all enterprise businesses. Everybody uses cloud. Every company uses cloud, so it's not about us.
Yeah, and that's also another probably thing too, where like it genuinely feels like too, like everybody is making a decision, and it's like, are we just not considered in the marketplace too? And it's like, yeah, actually yes, because you yourself do not carry the individual, like we mentioned in the video game stuff the last week too, about like game prices going up. We are just not being considered as consumers because we don't have the necessary capital to sway anything. We don't have the money to sway like these big techs to be like, oh, maybe we should focus on like the gaming side of these things. No, these companies will go to where the money is coming from, which right now is a bunch of like tech startups and a bunch of people that want to pivot towards making AI shit. People can disagree too that like some of the AI stuff people are using for that is just absolutely horrific, and it's also kind of socially damaging too. But nonetheless, too, if you look at it as the business point of view, there's really not a easy option for them not to take this, because you're also giving up loads and loads of money if you don't take this job. That's like a dilemma that you have, right? And some people say they could probably not just take the money. And are you fucking crazy? If you had in this situation, or yeah,
it's just people who are not in that business that don't understand. That just says all this shit. They just want what they want. They just care about them. That's all. That's all I get out of this.
And like I said, it's perfectly fine if that's what you feel like about it too. But you can't expect them to change to your stuff too if you yourself probably don't think about, like, maybe I could buy like 100,000 products from Nvidia. I'm not saying otherwise to give up nonetheless too, but also just temper your expectations of what everybody is doing right now, because clearly too, I am for, like in this case, with people that want to see, at least for the most part, the AI hype trend to kind of die here. Because let's be honest too, I want to believe too, like, I do think AI is useful, but it's definitely right now just another buzzword for a lot of investors to just invest in new cutting edge technology that at the moment we kind of don't really have a good foundation understanding of, like, how to properly set up the infrastructure for. For example, we already see too that because of this too, causing every other hardware price to go up, the only reason is not just because they're buying up stuff too, that's part of it, but because of how much stuff they're buying up to, it's causing a strain in our supply chain of raw materials. That is a crazy thing to think about too, because at first I thought we had like a decent balance, or in this case, we're producing or extracting more raw materials to produce into products relatively at a good rate. But because of like this whole AI crazy, the entire demand is kind of just shot through the roof right now, and we don't have the production to be able to meet that demand. So the bottleneck is literally just that. And even if you think about trying to scale it too, it becomes almost unhealthy to the point where, like, we can't realistically go that fucking hard into the demand, because otherwise too, we're going to see a lot of issues with this. And we're seeing too, half of like the projected data centers that were about to be planned to be built in this year alone too already got either postponed or canceled, like at least half the projects that were promised to other investors, that there were going to be like multiple data centers across the US here. Now all of them are currently being halted and whatnot too, because not only is that having issues too, the AI data center is also draining resources from other industries, which is actually even more wilder to think about.
Yep.
Which comes back to my own point. We legitimately just didn't have things ready to meet the demand for this. We didn't set anything up, because let's be honest, how would we set something up like that in the first place until like it happens, right? Now we're kind of just really blinded by this too, and investors are like right now really scared of the notion of like, we went really hard on this too, and now we see like it's causing like a global economy like crunch happening across all areas, not just like tech sector. It's affecting everybody now. Which I will say too, that is the most craziest impact that I've seen what one industry can do to the entire world. So with that being said too, do you think right now like we'll probably see like more production actually start picking up to try to meet that demand, or do you think there's going to be like a compromise at the top end to try to alleviate some of the demand?
Well, it has to be a compromise, because getting more raw materials is one thing, but having the factory capacity, manufacturing capacity to produce all of this is another thing as well.
Yeah, because like to think about this in perspective, to get all of that stuff too, we would effectively need to turn everything in the US into just manufacturing only chips for these AI data centers, almost effectively. And not even that too, we would have to increase everything else by a factor of 5 as well. Like every industry needs to like bolster up in order to meet the demand that the AI data center is about to generate. And that's something too that, like, again, no one really thinks about that, because for the most part too, I don't understand. This is going to be the next portion too, where I'm a little bit mad about this too, because of like they had effectively a blank check whenever they decided to greenlight a bunch of these AI data center stuff too. I'm about to go into this in the fact that they could have saved so much money and alleviated so much pain away from all of this stuff for it to be a problem. So let's go through this one by one here. And the most important thing that a lot of people are kind of explaining about this is the fact that they claim that it is a closed loop cycle when it comes to cooling their computer hardwares and whatnot too. But yet at the same time, they say it's closed loop, meaning there's nothing else that's going to be dumped back into the city that the data centers are sitting. Lots of tenants or lots of citizens that are in those towns are reporting that, hey, I'm getting weird shit coming out of my water faucets ever since that data center got built.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, too, this is still kind of pending right now as a documentary about this whole thing is about to come out soon. I'm definitely going to watch that. They're showcasing, too, that like whenever they say that it's a closed loop system, they're not exactly accounting for the computer stuff or like just their computational cooling and whatnot. They are mostly deriving a lot of that based on like just amenities stuff, such as like bathrooms and whatnot. So apparently there's a lot of misconception whenever they mention closed loop here. So that's actually a little bit concerning if that's not the case here.
Well, maybe they have a different definition of closed loop. I don't know.
Yeah, which again too, still concerning nonetheless, right?
Yeah.
So with that too, we also kind of figure out as well from like this study that they did. A lot of these data centers, they had to put additives to the water based on like, or into the coolant, which is going to be water here, just because so that the water itself doesn't corrode away the GPUs, right? Or they won't corrode like any of the hardware parts so that it doesn't degrade fast enough. And unfortunately for those, once that mixture of water gets introduced back into the main like water network too, it cannot actually be filtered out with like the best like water treatment possible, which a lot of times you do this in a small town, they probably won't have that anyways.
Yep.
So it's like it's a bigger problem that no one really goes in and talks about too, because obviously I'm very much like I am very environmentalist when it comes to this. I am in this case what people would describe as I love the idea of a solar punk future, but doing it in such a manner that I know it has to be realistic to some extent. But this one is just blatantly this awful. Like, what is happening over there now? And I do want to see this documentary, see like what the fuck is happening here. Because otherwise, too, these are mostly just investigative reports too. Until I actually see like actual finding and a lot of like public investigations to them admitting otherwise. Yeah, this is mostly still speculations too. But I wouldn't make it go past me that this is what's happening in these data centers. And it's not even that too. Some people even wonder too, is like, is the current way of how they're cooling the system even that much more efficient? Just because like we've even heard stories too, if we wanted to actually cool like a lot of this stuff too, literally what we could have done is like just drop it in the ocean. Oh, fucking someone in China too, some company in China actually did develop a data center or data cluster set of AI computation where they just dropped it in the fucking sea. Because what they're claiming too is the fact that because in most data centers, the majority of the power consumption too, which is going to be like around like 50 or 40% of it, is going into just cooling the systems. Where in this case, whatever like Chinese company is claiming here, they're claiming that with them dunking their data centers in the water, they spend 95% of the power consumption into only just data processing or into the computational power for these data centers, which that is a big improvement.
Or you can look at it another way as using less power now.
Yeah.
To do the same thing.
Yeah. And that's also another thing too. Why don't we like actually put these in like areas like, you know, where we have all like the big as fuck like solar farms or even windmill farms? Because, you know, we had that other story that came out too that, oh, we built all of these structures out, but we're having a very funny issue that's happening here. We're actually generating way more power than we can actually use. So therefore a lot of power gets wasted. And I don't know why we don't just throw it out there, throw it over there too. It's like, yeah, you can definitely use that as well. And it's like, it's already connected to the grid one way. And you actually have like high capacity like network over there too, because of all that power. Like parts of me, I don't understand too, that we have solutions that can help supplement the data centers, right? all the extra
Yeah,
generated power.
we have solutions, but these companies just create their own problems.
Yeah, it's like, why did you need to make more like stuff about like, oh, we got to get like these gas turbines in so then we can power them on immediately? Why didn't you guys plan on building this near like solar farms or wind farms in the beginning? That would have saved you so much in power costs too. And it's like, oh, but what about water too? Fuck if I know. You can develop something around that shit now too. You could build offshore wind farms now. That could be another fucking crazy idea to throw there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are solutions to this too. And I was thinking about like, maybe they were just worried about the money in the first place. That's why they didn't want to like build out like the infrastructure for that. But it was like, you guys were given a blank check and y'all fucked it up. Like, you guys were so adamant on trying to, maybe that's the speed. That's why they did it this way. They really wanted these things to go online like yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I get that. But still, the smarter long-term way of doing things is, like, I would say, just toss them in the ocean.
Yeah. And it's like, and guess what too? We also have another issue that comes about these data centers too. And it's actually a newer study that's being studied right now, which was infrasound here. Oh, give me 1 second here. Oh, sorry. I got my girlfriend decided to come in here just to pick up something. Anyways, I'll probably edit that part out. All right, but we'll go back into this here then. We have issues right now with the new study with infrasound, which for those that don't know what that means, it's just a new colloquial term or definition where I just say it's like low frequency sound, right? That normally you can still hear it too, but the difference with these low frequency sounds versus high frequencies, which you would hear like a high pitched screaming and whatnot too, or like jets roaring through. Low frequency is like a lower hum that it sounds like, perception wise, it sounds like it shouldn't bother you as much, but that sound actually travels way further than you would think sound should be able to travel through, because high frequency sounds, they actually kind of drop off at some point. Low frequency, they have a longer travel distance, and not only that, it can actually penetrate through materials. So even if you have like a good way to, like, you know, the general consensus of like how do you reduce noise is, you know, if you don't see it, you can't hear it, right? With low frequency sounds, depending on the material, it can still go through whatever you set up. So that's the current thing that's happening too. And a lot of infrasound studies are showing that this type of exposure is causing people to be very irritable, and it's causing a lot of migraines and a lot of health issues to come up as well, which that itself, I would love to see more studies done about this too, since my last employment, I was actually a sound engineer. So that's something I want to see happening too. And based on like what was going on from that last employment too, we were kind of building up like temporary walls, sound dampening stuff for a data center that was somewhere in Texas. So needless to say, I think this is definitely an issue that everybody, or at least people in the tech sector, that we are aware that it's happening too, and it does have an effect on people. But is there really a way to kind of address that? I mean, your only best bet right now too is you kind of need to just trap them or put these data centers in like geographic location area where sound itself can kind of be contained in that area. I
Sounds
still
like
think
the ocean.
no, Victor, because sound travels faster in the ocean, in water.
That's not, well, I mean, you put it deep enough, it should be fine.
God damn it. And if anything, too, I would actually want to see too if this actually disrupts marine life in a lot of ways. I think it will, but
Probably.
yeah,
It
but
most definitely will.
yeah, but we'll just have to see how this kind of pans out too. I think we can incorporate a combination of the two here. I think there is a way that we can still submerge them in a body of water while also maintaining, in this case, a balanced ecosystem here. Which, if anything, what I'm actually going for is like, hey, just dig up a giant fucking hole somewhere and just dump a data center in it with water.
Mm-hmm.
So that's at least what I would say as my insane solution. But that's like some of the things too that like I don't exactly have a real answer how this can be addressed and done to, outside the fact that the best way is that you can cut down the sound signature by, first of all, not using fucking gas turbines as to power your data centers. that's also a main contributor based on my last studies, based on my last employment, what I had to study for.
Yeah.
Those are usually the biggest source of why people would hate doing that. And there are very much temporary solutions too, where depending on the material, we can actually set up like sound barriers that actually do an impressive job of blocking out all types of sound frequency waves. You probably will still feel it, but perception wise, you won't be able to hear it at all. Because we also take advantage of, in this case, to doing math and extreme levels of math as well. We can just set up a wall in this designated spot too to bounce the sound waves to create a destructive interference, therefore kind of canceling back any noise coming from that site. So it's a lot of physics here. So that was for me, like, kind of wanted to showcase some of my fun knowledge about anybody that is interested about the data center stuff too, and how it does with sound frequencies. Oh yeah, it's a very big issue too, and it's actually something that we definitely need to have more studies done about this too, just because it is becoming a problem. Because I think the dangerous ranges was around like 90, 100, or 5 decibels is when people start having issues of migraines, vertigo, nausea, and chronic insomnia. So yeah, what an amazing time to be alive for this stuff too. Holy shit. Now the real thing about this too, I think now we could go into like some of the money parts of this too. Like when we mentioned it, this is a good investment too. In a lot of ways, how the AI stuff is kind of shaping up to be, do you honestly expect to like we're gonna see a return on investment on a lot of these projects?
Not soon, and maybe not for a lot of them, for a lot of projects.
Is that something that's just inherent with the nature of this technology, or do you think it's a fundamental misunderstanding of like expecting something like this
it's the fundamental flaw of investors. Because they see a technology, they think it's going to be the next big thing, and everybody jumps on it. This is not a flaw of the technology. This is the flaw of human thinking. This is the same issue with the dot-com bubble. Now, I'm not saying that this is the same as the dot-com bubble, only because this is an actual product rather than back then. If you had a domain name that ended in .com, you had a blank check.
Right. Yeah, because like from what I understand with the dot-com bubble, like the only parts about it that we can see that are positive is the fact that we actually had like internet lines that set up like between like continents, right? We had like those internet lines that are established. But unfortunately, a lot of times too, those companies went bankrupt, and then therefore AT&T became like the de facto winner.
Yeah.
Do you think a similar situation like that might happen with the AI push too? Like there's going to be a de facto winner in about for a lot of this too, especially how I'm probably going to assume otherwise. I'm want to bet too if OpenAI or Meta is going to collapse first.
OpenAI will most definitely collapse, only because Facebook has an actual business already.
Right.
They have Facebook.
Yeah.
So, and Instagram and all their other social medias, they have an actual foundational business already. So if their AI goes under, it doesn't matter. But OpenAI does not have a foundational business.
Hell,
they're overspending.
They're overspending too, and it's like it's crazy enough too that they are trying to go for like listing themselves in like the stock market, going IPO, right? Trying to open up an IPO, and they're hoping for that to like actually kind of give them like some amount of money to come into. But even then too, that doesn't solve like the fundamental issue with this company, which is the fact that this whatever they made too never was generating or making them money in the first place. Because okay, how would I word this too? Because the only way how I see this as a problem is the fact that it has to be the fact that they kind of made it as like a free to use service from their initial start, right? And then afterwards they're trying to put in like paid models, and you can only gain access to better models if you paid for it now. And a lot of times people are not really trying to get them. And there's also like another like a broken idea of what the AI product is meant for to the consumer in a lot of ways. like I can understand too that like they were definitely trying to push it for the enterprise stuff, but we're even hearing back too that the current enterprise solutions for it. Oh, the cat is currently meowing at the background too. So if you guys hear that too, yes, I adopted a cat not too long ago. So bear with me real quick, as I think he wants to be let out. 1 second here. He wants to be out. Oh my god. He wanted to be let out. But what was I on to? But I do think with the current way, how I think what I was talking about financially speaking too, because with OpenAI, whenever they're really trying to push for them to like kind of do for paid subscription model, that was already a turnoff. Now a lot of people were going to subscribe to that too, and then they're like, okay, how do we make it so that people that use the cheaper model, how do we get more money out of that too? And before he made a statement that he wasn't going to put advertisements, and guess what now too? If you use a cheaper model, they're gonna make the AI do advertisements on it too. It's like, okay, what you ended up doing is that you effectively killed the quality of your product, which is also, it feels like this is like its own death spiral happening of what we're seeing with OpenAI here.
It is.
Because like, how could anyone actually use like an AI product if now knowing the fact that, oh, we're gonna have to put advertisements in it, if all of their answers are now just the same as like a Google's like right now algorithm of their search function too, that a lot of the spots too in the top few spots they're paid for. So what would be the difference?
As the saying goes, everything comes in circles. You know, everything goes in a circle.
Because like
what goes around comes around.
Yeah, and it's a funny shit too. Like, what ended up happening because OpenAI was trying to go to IPO, Anthropic is finally to go like open to the market too before they do, which is kind of a big flex in my honest opinion. Now, I could probably go into as well like the other faction or the other side of like why this was being pushed so hard would be like government or the conspiracy side. Government is trying to use these data centers as like a mass surveillance network or helping with their mass surveillance network. It's like bits of me realistically thinks that like that still probably won't happen as much, but I also don't put it past me that that's something that they're trying to do as well.
Yep.
So
I mean, that's how AI is anyways. It's just a data harvester.
Yeah, which is like that's what it's good at doing. We can acknowledge that like it's really good at collecting and also presenting data in a way that appeals to the user, I guess. But that's also itself is kind of a flaw of what AI is supposed to do, at least in our definition of it, because it's nothing still more than a tool that if you give it the permissions to do so, it will do what it's tasked to do. Now, I do think as well, whenever I hear studies that like these AI like or the protocol that they give it to like make sure it doesn't run wild too, it ends up going wild to it. It sets up like its own backup memory in case if it were ever to get deleted. And I'm like, is it because it naturally does that, or is it based on the limits that you set it to that it forces them in that logic of thinking as well? There's bits about this too that like in a ethical speaking wise too, I also don't agree to that we should be pushing this hard into like furthering AI development without actually addressing a lot of other issues. But I also, on the other hand, understand we kind of need to push for this to go through, right? It's like a necessary tool that whether if you are part of it or not too, it's going to become part of our everyday lives.
Yep.
That's something that like is an unfortunate reality too, but I do believe like as a society too, we should be able to help like temper our own expectation of like how we should use it, such as the fact with generative AI stuff too. Don't use fucking generative AI to make art to claim that it's yours. When if you know how this shit works, it's the fact that it does like it harvests data from all these other people to create something that appears to be of art. Which, to be honest, right now it's getting scarily hard of like trying to detect which one is AI art or not. Just saying. We're coming back into like pretty much from our previous talking points that we mentioned too, that like I'm still like in a way to kind of like a negative viewpoint of like how these AI or the AI infrastructure plans are kind of rolling out. But right now, the newest studies too, like these datas and the newest news that all these data centers are just either being halted or canceled just to address like material problems and like just getting anything. For me, it confirms like a lot of things about it too. There was definitely no planning that occurred whenever they are greenlighting a lot of these projects.
When is there ever any planning?
I mean, true, right? But like, there's a saying here with like the U.S.: if you ain't first, you're last, or something like that. Or if you're not the one to do it as well too, someone else will beat you to it.
Mhm.
And that's something too that like I appreciate in this case the competitive nature in a lot of this too. But as someone that actually does value ethics to a lot of degrees here too, we had to really do this responsibly as well. Because obviously what we're doing here is very irresponsible as we are affecting everything that's around us too, from like the global economics to even like the local towns. Like it's causing that much issues too that like we have to be a lot more pragmatic and a lot more in tune with how we're trying to roll these plans out. Because I could just be rambling on at this point too. But is there in this case a light at the end of the tunnel that you can possibly see that we could probably pivot this to a better future with this shit?
Oh, hard to say. Of course, with any new technology, there needs to be laws that limit what AI can do and what companies can do with AI.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, realistically, I don't think so.
Like, you think it's just going to be like we'll just have to wait and see how this kind of pans out? Like, this is pretty much like there's going to be
There's really no reason to wait and see. If people have an opportunity to take advantage of something, they will.
Right.
And that's
Because-
why there needs to be some sort of limit in place.
Yeah, because like from what I understand too, like everybody agrees to that we are in an AI bubble. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think in general too, knowing the fact that it is definitely a bubble, it's not going to be as destructive as like the 2008 recession crash or like the dot-com bubble. I don't think it will be as drastic as that, in my honest opinion. I think there is going to be a bunch of companies that are definitely about to go under because of this shit. And there will be like clear winners about this.
Yep, absolutely.
Ah, damn it. Now the cat is wants my attention. Nope, never mind. He's just meowing into my closet. Okay, bye now. So, whatever the case may be, too, I do hope that, like, hopefully with all the cancellations and pausing to like future data centers and whatnot too, we actually take a better look on how we have to like approach this now. Because clearly we were doing this in the assumption that we had the infrastructure for doing so. I also blame the utility companies that are kind of like also accepting deals along. Yeah, you could definitely buy power from us. And then later telling them like, oh, sorry, we can't actually turn the power on because our current system in this area just doesn't have enough power. And then therefore they are artificially jacking everybody's rates up too, which if anything whatsoever too, I think the first people that need to go are pretty much a class action lawsuit against the fucking utility companies. Especially if fucking how egregious they increase prices.
Yeah, they are just a bunch of scammers.
Yeah. So if anybody needs to go first, it will definitely be holding the utility companies accountable for this shit. Because not only do they kind of sit their asses along this too, they don't actively kind of push themselves to even build out new shit in the first place. That's what also kind of holds back a lot of things in my opinion. You have utility companies that are not willing to like kind of branch out or help expand their network. Even though there's like the only reason they can't want to is if can they make money back off it, which I get. But at this point right now, we kind of need the power. And the US government is just like, here, we need you to build more fucking power plants. And they're just doing jack shit with the money. Am I kind of sounding mad about this? A little bit. I mean, we do have like actual green projects that are happening here and there too. So I'm hoping then they could have just marketed in this case, here, we have access to all of this free energy here that we cannot use because we don't have big data or big battery banks up and coming yet, which hopefully I hope it's soon. But here's me hoping, right?
Yeah. Well, you want big battery banks. I mean, like Tesla doesn't, but
I mean, that's the only thing that like if we were to actually make green energy like actually usable too, we have to have like those capacitive storage units to help smooth out the curve of power throughout like the day and whatnot. I get that as necessary. But here we are, right? And we could, using, in this case, wasted energy that could probably say, oh, you can put that in homes, but we can't use that. So might as well put it into computational power. I do think that that might be the smartest thing too. We'll see if they take it. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of people that are just trying to pocket a lot of money to themselves. Look at you, Sam Altman, you fucking freak. How dare you make the comparison that, like, saying, you know, data centers too, yes, they take a lot of energy and power too, but so does raising a human being. Like, what the fuck kind of answer is that?
It's just the same old mini answer, bro.
Yeah, it's like somehow you're competing in this case in the same world that I think Mark Zuckerberg was the worst person, because I don't think of him as human. Sam Altman doesn't appear to be human to me now. So I'm just like, fuck me, I guess, right?
No.
But I got nothing else really to kind of shine about this too, outside of like the more recent news of, yeah, data centers are currently like not shutting down, but like future production or constructions of it are definitely slowing down, just because investors are currently right now scared, as the public is not kind of viewing this technology in a good light.
Oh, yeah, I'm not surprised when they keep just trying to milk people.
Yeah, because like it's not even just
not only. Yeah, I mean, it is milking. You're milking not only money but information.
Right, because like, what else are these things good for? Just harvesting data.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, we are milking. Yeah, fair enough. And we're already tired enough too that, like, me and you, we're trying to figure out ways how not to, like, you rely on a lot of these services too, so we don't give them as much information as we possibly can now.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, modern day too, it's a little bit hard to. I do wish that there was actually rules and regulations to kind of prevent them from data scraping. But you know, that I don't think that's gonna be realistic here. Maybe if we come together as society to be like, we've had enough of this shit. Because also, guess what too, with all the AI data centers too, that's also driving, in this case, the labor economy to tanking as well too. Who's going to be using your like pricey data models or AI models too? If those people do not have a job, where are they going to get the money from? And at some point, universal basic income is going to be introduced. But where's the money going to come from in the universal basic income? From corporate taxing now, because you put them out of this job. So it's going to be like a roundabout way of like, they're not, it's clearly too that like they're not thinking about this as a long-term thing, because otherwise if they did too, they were definitely did a better plan. Otherwise too, we're kind of having to sit through a lot of this shit too. And guess what? We hope too that like specific AI companies do go under through this too. And we do hope that like we can bounce back from this. I think AI does have a place in our society too, albeit we just have to be asking ourselves like, how do we like regulate ourselves? In this case, not from the government side, how do we as people have to view this AI technology? Because that's something that's like a new cutting edge technology that, in my honest opinion, I truly don't think we're even ready for that conversation yet. And then it's like in the whole sci-fi tropes too, whenever they talk about artificial intelligence, it's either like it either goes wild too or becomes more human than us. Like at one point, like do we start having these conversations? Like where does AI fit within our human society? Because at some point too, who knows if general intelligence becomes a thing yet too. But as a practice right now too, how we have to view this, it's nothing more than a tool. But unless, like we mentioned before, if as long as you know how to use the tool, then the tool itself can't hurt you. It's usually the people that know how to use the tool that can hurt you. So there's always that argument. But do you think right now we're honestly ready, like people are ready to have that style of conversation in the first place?
Realistically not, because nobody truly understands this technology to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, these kind of conversations can only happen whenever we know what we're dealing with.
Yeah. And guess what too? It's like me and you, we did like a bunch of home laughing stuff. We mess with AI in our own local machines too. We know what it's capable of. Do I think it should be something that it replaces like the job pool? Technically, no. Maybe not yet, but it's not like at that capability that it should.
Yeah.
But yeah, here we are too. That like I understand at some point it's going to get better from here. I think that's something else that a lot of people don't take into consideration too, that they're hoping that it's going to be a fad or a trend too that will die off. This is a real technology. It's going to get better too. And whether you like it or not too, And I will say it again, it's going to stick with us.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to end up having to learn how to use this type of tech too. Albeit, I understand too that home labbing might not be the cheapest hobby anymore. Well, I don't think it was a cheap hobby to begin with. Yeah, it was a cheap hobby to begin with at all. But I don't understand that it's a lot harder to get through this. But you just have, at this point, we just have to hold out. Don't spend money when you know you shouldn't. Such as the fact that please don't spend it on AI girlfriends, you lonely sack of shits. God damn it. Yeah, we are. Unless you're the type of person that's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing is causing harm to the environment too, but I'm doing it anyways to get a fat off. I'm like, God damn it. I have no words. I've already done, and this gets my take about it too, where I privately investigated these AI girlfriend sites, and it's something, to say the least.
You quote unquote privately investigated. You guys heard it from him first.
Needless to say, you guys need help. The people that are users of this app, you guys need help. Because I have no other reason for anything else to like. What other reasons for people wanting to use AI bots? Maybe if they put in a robots too, where they could actually react to you and have that, we could have sex robots. But I don't know. That'll be way further in the future, I guess.
Brian's already playing for the future, it seems.
Oh, if anything, that might be something too. We already seen that happening already with certain industries. So outside of that too, I have nothing more to really say about this too, outside of us just kind of rambling on like different smaller topics too that we mentioned previously. But you have any closing statement you want to give to this based on what we have here?
No, not really. I mean, we covered everything that needs to be discussed.
Right.
It's just this whole AI craze. It's a craze. I wouldn't call it a fad, but it's definitely a craze right now.
Yeah, because
things will normalize. It shouldn't, and it won't be like this, and it shouldn't be like this.
Yeah. So for everybody else otherwise too, that like hopefully that will die, it's not. But if you know how to use it to, and you actually take the time and learn what it does to and how it does a lot of these things too, like you just have to learn how the world is, right? In order to truly understand what AI how the AI affects it. And even not to that level too, if you know like how it fundamentally works on that scale, you kind of just prepare yourself of like, you know too, that like this isn't really true artificial intelligence in a manner of speaking. It actually does something very impressive too if you know how to use it too, i.e. we're planning on using it somewhat for our own personal stuff here too. So I'll say this, for the next few episodes too, be on the lookout. If you hear any of us, if something sounds different, that's all I gotta say. So anyways, thank you all for tuning in for this night of the Hotter Trash podcast too. And everybody here, we will say our farewell to Victor as he'll be traveling back to the motherland.
Yay.
Yeah, Vietnam. All right, good night, y'all.
Good night, everyone.